We made it. This is very unlike me. This is my third week in a row coming online exactly on time. And let me tell you something. That's a record for me in many ways. I am usually late for everything I do, but we're here live and we're right at 8 o'clock when I said I would be here. Part of my new thought that I should be on time for everything, even though I wasn't on time for everything just recently, and it caused me a nightmare, which we might talk about. I may have to talk about it and change the story just enough to protect the innocent. But welcome to Tuesday Night Live. We have a lot to go over tonight, and I promise you we'll keep it moving and fun. I don't know if that's better or not. No, it's better like that. We'll keep it moving and fun, and we'll have a good time. By the way, those of you who are here many weeks in a row, as always, thank you very much for coming on. Tonight we have a 5,000 star goal limit. That's not limit, goal. We never limit. That would be bad. But it's 5,000 stars. I tried to make it 3, but I couldn't figure out how to reset it. So feel no pressure. But if you want to send stars, do. And other than that, as always, I will take your questions. Harrison, are you there yet? Harrison's usually in early. And I hope Jan joined us today. And we'll talk a little bit about my buddy Anthony. Let's start up with what's going on. Tonight, Jan Derricks. Hello, Jan. I just mentioned you. Thank you, Jan. Jan Derricks, who is related to my good friend Anthony Vera, whose mom just passed away, sadly. Sandy passed away, who I also loved. And I saw Jan at Sandy's funeral. So I got to run into Jan personally, and I have to say this, Jan, as a mother, very great. I met Jan, and she introduced me to her son, and instantly dug out the son's business card and said, "Use my son," which made me smile. It made me so happy because it's something my mother would have done. My mother could have been meeting the President of the United States, signing a peace treaty ending World War III, and my mother would have said, Vinnie and his wife own the Stress Factory Comedy Club. If you want to go to a show after you sign the peace accord, you can go to the show. Thank you, Brian Kaznowski. We're already at 100 stars. People, that happened quickly. We'll keep the fun going. So, in any event, so here's the thing with Jan. I think your son is doing that job maybe as early as tomorrow. I don't involve myself in the actual work at the club. I have said many times I am a figurehead. I don't remember when I became a figurehead. I just know that I am one, and I work when it has to be done, and there's no one doing it. Fortunately for me, I have Derek there, and yes, Jan, moms do rock. I have Derek. Denise with 100 stars. We are at 200 stars, and we're less than 4 minutes in. So anyway, fortunately, Derek is there handling damn near everything. And that brings me to a topic that I have to talk about that is very heavy on my heart. But it's a good thing for him. But I'm going to start the broadcast talking about it right away. So Mark McCoy, our manager of 17 years, spent his last night with us a week ago tomorrow, Wednesday night. And I went in and spent the night talking to Mark. And Mark came in, trooper like he has always been. His last night with us, working the kitchen in his chef outfit, cooking, working his ass off. Very few human beings would even give you 4 weeks notice. He gave us 4 weeks notice and worked his ass off all 4 weeks. The last day of which he spent doing arguably the hardest job, cooking for a sold out show. And I have to tell you, Mark, if you see this broadcast, I love you. You know I love you. And I miss you already. Those of you who have asked, many of you have. Mark started with us 17 years ago as a bartender. I have a picture of Mark somewhere, and he's a kid. He's a little kid, and now he's a big man. But he didn't just grow up; he grew into part of our family. I mean, Vicky and I are forever indebted to the number of times that Mark saved our ass during a difficult night. It just always there. I will tell you a really bittersweet, quick story about Mark. So Mark was there the night that Greg Giraldo overdosed and didn't make it to the club. And that was about as bad as it can get. I mean, you got a comic that we love, and he's ODing in a hotel room, and he's not going to make it. And we know that. And Mark was there that night, and he helped us through that. An absolute emotional horror show. And, of course, 2 sold-out shows. From a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint, from a comedic standpoint, everything bad is happening that night. And Mark is there, and he puts it together with us. He helps us through everything. He gets me. I go on stage and do the first show. And then Kevin Brennan came in the second show. But Mark was the one that got us through that. Now, the reason I tell you that story is to tell you the next story. So, Margaret Cho was at the club, and we had an incident with Margaret Cho. And, hello, Ron Ginsberg. My partner in crime is not... She's not going to be on this broadcast. I will explain that in a little bit. But Cassie will not be making an appearance. Cassie fans, trust me, tomorrow Cassie will do a little fun with us tomorrow. But tonight, she's otherwise engaged. So anyway, Margaret Cho's at the club, and I am traveling with Madison to a soccer tournament. Vicky is in Florida, so I'm going to go to the soccer tournament. We're going to play soccer Saturday. And then Saturday night, we're going to fly down to Florida, and we're going to stay there. And so that's how it's all going to happen. And around midnight, I get the phone call. Now, Margaret Cho went on stage. It was right after Gary Shandling had passed away. And she had an allergic reaction to Gary passing. They were friends. And whatever she was doing on stage, it was bad. 300 people left. They put it on, it ended up on TMZ. It was bad. Now, I'm in a hotel room. I don't know anything that's going on. But God bless Mark. He calls me up. He gets me on the phone. And I go, hey, Mark, what's going on? He goes, Vinnie, we got a problem. We got a major problem. I go, Mark, what's going on? What's going on? How bad is the problem? Because it's bad. I go, how bad is it? He goes, it's worse than Giraldo. Now, I'm not making light of it. Greg Giraldo, I loved him. He passed away. In my head, I'm like, how much worse can it be than someone dying? And of course, it was worse in a different way. With Giraldo, people were understanding. The customers were understanding. With Margaret Cho, the customers were not understanding. So it was worse from a customer perspective. But who gets us through the night? Mark McCoy. Mark McCoy gets us through the night. Mark was there the day we had a blizzard, and it was me, Brewer, and Marley, and I'm stuck at home digging out my entire street, and Mark gets us through that. So Mark has moved on, and he's promised to stay involved in things like this, in the Vicky Vinnie live show, which is on a 2-week hiatus. One, because we had to travel, that's a long story, and then Easter. So we're on a 2-week hiatus, but we're back in 2 weeks. We'll be back on, I guess that's whatever that date is. I'll figure it out in a minute. So 2-week hiatus for Vicky and Vinnie, and then we're back with that. And Mark just got through all that stuff. He promised he'll be involved in Vicky and Vinnie Live. Promised he'll get involved in the podcast, which is launching and getting done soon. And so we wish Mark well, but we also rein him back in. So if you want to send nice comments to Mark, if you had a nice experience with Mark, Mark also opened up and moved up into New York to help us open Bridgeport, which was always a challenge, always difficult, and he was there too. So that's our goodbye to Mark, our goodbye until we see him again. Mark Plowden, I don't know what those yellow stars mean. But if you had a good experience with Mark, please mention it. If you have a question about Mark, ask. And I can't tell tonight how many of you are here. It looks like we have about 40 people on, which is not bad. Tell your friends we're live. Get more on. So I'm wearing my University of Michigan shirt tonight because U of Michigan plays in about 1 hour. And we're excited because Michigan will probably win tonight and move on to the next round. And then they'll be in the Final Four, and then 2 tough games. Tonight will be tough as well. I took Tabitha to visit the University of Texas. Hook 'em. That's their thing. Hook 'em. Michigan is go blue. University of Texas. Hook 'em. I'm a Scarlet Knight. I didn't graduate, so I don't really have a thing. I don't know what Scarlet Knight. I think Scarlet Knight is we are you. Not as good as Hook 'em. Certainly not as good as Go Blue. You can walk anywhere around this country and see someone from Michigan. If they see a shirt on, they don't say hi. They say Go Blue, and that's it. Go Blue, Go Blue. That's it. Texas, it's Hook 'em or this. All right, or you say all right. So we took her down to Austin. I took her down to Austin. Vicky took her to one campus. I took her to another. Vicky and I are now in a battle to see who it is that does the best college tour. It's clearly me because I meet people. I met all kinds of people at University of Texas, most of them undergrads. I got invited to join 4 different fraternities. I was invited to 2 or 3 sorority parties because you can't turn this off, Judy. This is 24/7. And I met a guy who I've actually been exchanging text messages with since I was there. I have to read his name because he's a young Indian fellow, Adi from Texas, who is from Princeton, was wearing a Jersey United shirt. I saw him down there. And so let me just say this about University of Texas. Now, Tabby has to choose between a lot of great colleges. She has to choose. She got into damn near everything. And I love Ann Arbor, and now I love Austin. She's also got New Brunswick in the mix, but she's been there forever. So I don't know. I could definitely get in that University of Texas situation. It is beautiful. What a campus. Texas is wide open, but we were very careful. And I was only there, and I'm inoculated. But I was walking outside, and there was a young girl, and I said to her, hey, that was about 10 feet away from her, can you tell me where this dorm is? We're supposed to go to this dorm. And she goes, could you put a mask on, please? And I have to tell you something. There's a better way. Hi, Linda Farrar. Hi, Judy. There's a better way to talk to a grown man who happens to be kicking ass at UT. All right, this girl talking to me has no idea that if I spend 5 more days there, thank you, Todd Hartpence and Lee, 250 more stars. If I spend 5 more days at University of Texas, I'm the goddamn student body president. I'm meeting people everywhere I go, talking to young people. They're inviting me to parties, okay? I was saying, this is Tabby, and people are going, I don't care about that. You want to come to our party? Okay, so who is this girl to say to me, 10 feet away on a windy day, outside with the hot Texas sun, baking everything. Could you put a mask on? There's a better way to talk to a grown adult young person. Okay, if you want to put a mask on, maybe you say, hey, sir, no problem at all. If you wouldn't mind, would you stand downwind so that your COVID goes that away? Vicky told me that to tell the story, but I couldn't resist. I had to tell. So, anyway, University of Texas is in the mix. Next up, we have to visit University of Miami. I don't want her in Miami. Maybe when I get there, I'm going to change my mind. But I want her either at Michigan or University of Texas. She's going to look at University of Connecticut, which is a great school. I was going to say Connecticut U. That's not it. But neither here nor there. She's got some great choices. What I also want to tell you about the people of Texas versus the people in New Jersey. The people of Texas are unbelievably nice. They're unbelievably nice. I saw people opening doors for people. I saw people saying hello to each other. Hi, Lori Green. Yes, Lori Green. Penn State's also in the mix. Yes, everybody. Lori Green's a Penn State graduate. And Lori Green needs me to say Penn State. We're going to visit Penn State, Lori. And you know what I say about Penn State? Jan Derrick saying UConn. Todd Harpence, stress you. Listen, all great schools. They're all great schools. All right. And whichever school wins and gets a brand child is a better school instantly. So if Tabby goes to Penn State, Lori, it makes your degree that much more valuable. That's ridiculous. All right, anyway, my father-in-law, Paul's behind me, watching my live stream. I don't know if it's entertaining. Paul's good so far?
Yeah.
It's good. All right, good. So there was something I want to tell you about Texas. I can't remember what the hell it was, but I do want to tell you that tonight Michigan moves on. Penn State, sadly, well, let's not talk about Penn State basketball right now. It's not a good discussion. Brian, downtown Austin is a barbecue joint, a bar, a gun shop with a tattoo shop upstairs every block. All right, Brian. Okay, Brian. What you're saying, Austin has a barbecue joint, a bar, a gun shop, and a tattoo shop every block. Okay, Brian. It's the heart of America. What's wrong with any of those things? Okay, nothing's wrong with those things. All right, so let's talk a little bit about me and traveling and how my wife treats me. All right, because this is bothering me a little bit, but not enough to want it to change. Thank you, Brian. It is awesome. Not enough to want me to change. Now, let me explain to you that Vicky treats me like a grown infant, like a full-grown adult infant. All right? So, hi, Phil. So when I go places with my family and we're like walking, let's say Disney World was open and we're going to Disney World. Let's say it's 2019 and the world is open and we're in Disney World. A lot of people everywhere. All right? So everybody's holding hands. And this is what I hear Vicky say at least 30 times a day to my children. Who's keeping an eye on that? Okay, it is necessary that someone keep an eye on me. I get that. But I shouldn't have to hear that. Okay? That's like when your grandmother gets older. You don't sit at the table and go, somebody wipe grandma's chin. Someone just does it. All right? Someone just does it. No one says, grandma's drooling again. Someone just dabs the chin. Vicky will literally say in front of me, somebody keep an eye on your father, and then I'll see her count the children, and I'm in the count. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't count me. I'm an adult. Now, we're going to Austin. And this is where it's all backfired on Vicky. So Tabby and I going to Austin. All right. That is a stuffed cat. It's a stuffed goat. We'll get to the goat in a minute. So we're going to Austin, and I said to Vicky, I go, okay, she made all the arrangements. All right, she did everything. Because I'm not going to do all that stuff. It's a lot of work. Hi, Tom. Thank you, Tom. So I don't want to have to make my arrangements. So Vicky, she does all that, and she packs me up and whatnot, and walks me to the car, and she has a dossier. She has a file of everything. Our flights, our rental car, our hotel, and money. She's giving me money like I'm going on a school trip. Okay, I'm not making that up. She's giving me money, and she says to me, I've given you $200 and an entire package. All you have to do is follow the package. And I go to take the package, and she goes, no. I'm talking to Tabby. She gives it to my 17-year-old daughter, and I then hear her say, keep that on schedule. Listen, that is I can't even tell you. Hi, Steph. I can't even tell you how annoyed and comforted I was. Annoyed because that's obnoxious, and comforted because deep in my heart, I know someone has to keep me on schedule. It's just that when you're taking your daughter to look at a college, maybe you should be the mature one, all right? Now, I can't help it that God didn't give me a grown-up gene. That's not my fault. I identify as a toddler, all right? But you still have to treat me like an adult. Again, just dab the chin, don't mention it. Now, here's why I tell you all that. Because Vicky does that, we get to Austin, and I said to Tabby, what are we supposed to do now? And she goes, okay. And she calls a cab, and we have to take a cab to the hotel. And I'm like, aren't we getting a car? And she goes, I'll explain it to you later. This is my 17-year-old daughter telling me, explain it to you later. We get to the hotel, I go, what do we do for a car? Tomorrow, Mom set us up a car to go back to the airport and get the car. And then that way we won't be late for the flight when we fly out of Austin. So we're going to go back to the airport the next day and get the car because there were no cars available when we landed. So I take her to dinner. I have to watch my daughter take money out of the envelope. I go, let me have the money. She goes, no, Mom told me to hang on to the money. So I'm buying her dinner, but she's handling the money. All right. I am seconds away from just sucking my thumb. Like, I'm like really close to completely regressing at this point. Okay. So now the next day we get the car, and then we tour the campus, and I murder it. I met my friend from Princeton. I met 2 girls from Miami who moved to Houston, who now go to Texas. I met a couple girls from California. I met a guy from Ohio. I met a guy who went to Penn State and transferred to the University of Texas and said he didn't want to go to any school Lori went to. I made that part up, Larry, because I think you're still listening. So I met a lot of people, and I introduced Tabby to a lot of people, and it was fun. Now we got to go back to the airport. It's simple. The airport is 10 miles away. And Tabby said to me, we should leave at 8:15. We have to be at the airport by 9:30 for a 10:38 flight. Now, Tabby goes, that's me. I go, Tabby, let's not leave. Let's have a cup of coffee. We have time. It's only 10 minutes. And because Vicky has not thoroughly trained Tabby, she failed and did not keep me on track. Now, I have never missed a flight. I have gotten to a plane where the door was being shut. It was going to be like this. It was like, and I'm like, oh, and I got my way back in the plane. I've never missed a flight. But because Tabby did not take her responsibility of babysitting me the right way, she listened to me when I, very much like Satan, said, have another cup of coffee. And we got in the car and we drove, and it took us to the wrong airport. The GPS took us to the wrong terminal. But it's gigantic. In Texas, everything is gigantic. Everything. Including my excuses for missing that flight. So we get to the wrong terminal, and the terminal to terminal, not that big, it's 10 miles from the southern terminal to the main terminal. So we run. We return the car. There was a woman going to get her rental car, and we're converging on the help counter. But I know they're so nice in Texas. They're converging on the help counter, and that woman maybe half a step ahead of me. I quick-stepped. I Jersey quick-stepped 2 steps, so now I'm a half step ahead of her. But it was rude. And the woman came up. I need to talk to her. I go, there's your car. The keys are in the thing. And we leave. And we run, and we get all the way to the gate agent at American Airlines. And she looked at me. She knew I was in a rush. And she goes, you're not going to make your flight. She didn't even know what flight I was on yet. You're not going to make it. I go, I'm on this flight. She goes, I'm sorry. We have a 40-minute limit. I go, but I'm 42 minutes. I'm looking, I'm 42 minutes. I just sprinted. And she would not let us on that flight. It was the first flight I was not allowed on. She said, you'll never make it, blah, 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 blah. And she was not nice. I believe in all my heart that she moved to Austin from New York. Not just New York, New York City. Not just New York City. She was Mayor de Blasio's landlord. and AOC's next door neighbor. She was not nice. And she wouldn't let me on the flight. And she said, you never make it. I said, I'm going to make it. She said, you won't make it. Okay, so she takes 15 minutes to check us into a different flight. I literally said to her, she goes, well, you can make it, but your bag won't. I said, I'll throw the bag away. I'll throw the bag away, is what she said to me. The cops will find you and arrest you. Apparently, it's illegal to throw away a suitcase in Austin, Texas. All of which I think she made up. Neither here nor there. I'm not getting on that flight. So, we have a 6-hour bullshit delay situation. 6 hours. We got out of Austin an hour and a half late, but then we had to sit 4 hours in Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. Now, here's the thing. I would have made that flight. Now, here's how I know that. She took 15 minutes, roughly, round trip to get us rebooked. We then strolled. We didn't run. We strolled through security, put our shoes on slow. Yeah, sometimes people are putting their shit back on after they go through that little security gate, and they don't realize there's people behind them. They have to go somewhere. So they're being complete jackasses, just moving slow because they're organized and they're 2 hours ahead of schedule, and you want to cave their head in, but you can't because TSA is right there. You know that those people. We were being those people. I'm putting shit on, and now because I have so much time, I'm looking at other people judging them because they're in a rush. I'm going, you should have allotted more time. I have 6 hours. I immediately snapped into that guy. Now we took forever. And we walked to our gate, and they were still boarding that plane. I would have made that plane easily. But neither here nor there, we got delayed. I say it is Vicky's fault. Because Vicky did not give me the authority to be an adult many years ago. She has maintained me as a full-grown infant. And Tabby is just not a good mother. She's a shitty mother. She should have been there to do her job. And she failed. So that's our story of missing my first flight ever. Next week I'll tell you how I got on a plane after 9/11. 2 months after 9/11. No, it was February, so whatever that is. 5 months after 9/11 without my license. Talked my way onto a flight. Not just one, but 3 flights I had to get on. And I talked my way on. And we'll tell the story next week. It's a great story. George and Bev Tickler were there for that one. And so, you like that story. Now to talk a little bit, any questions about the club before I get into my last and final story for the night. And by the way, if you think Vicky's wrong, and I know many of you do, please let me know. Please email Vicky, VICKI, at Stress Factory and tell her it's your fault. You should have sent a better mother with Vinnie. Is that right, Paul?
That's right.
My father-in-law has traveled with me many times. And Paul is one of those people, got to get there 2 hours ahead of schedule. And he gets there 3 hours ahead of schedule. And I'm not that guy, right, Paul?
I'm afraid not.
I'm not. Okay, let's get into one of my stories. My brother, Michael, who I love dearly, has a farm in Vermont, was just the proud papa of a send Pop home. Mom is taking Graham home. I'm getting a note, send Pop home from Tabby.
Yeah.
Pop is watching the stream. Oh, I wrote streak. Sorry about that, Paul. I wrote streak. Paul's watching me run around naked. I am looking forward to it too, Lee. Thank you very much. Very nice to say that. Thank you, Phil. A teacher said Vinnie was right. Thank you. Any chance I can change your tickets from your Thursday to your Friday? Yes, Denise, of course you can change your tickets Thursday to Friday. Mark, you know exactly what that is. So my brother Michael just had baby goats. He has beautiful baby goats. I've had baby goats many times. My goats are full goats. Michael's goats look a little bit like Michael. Anyway, the point is, he had baby goats, and he needed help with me telling him what he had to do. You really don't have to do much to have a baby goat. But sometimes things go wrong. And many years ago, I'm going to say it's about 12 years ago, I had an audition. I don't get a ton of auditions. I don't want a ton of auditions. I think I told the story of the audition story that I had. If I didn't, I'll recap it quickly. You're welcome, Denise. Call the club whenever you want, or call me or the club. Call either way. But I think I told the story a few weeks ago of me going in for an audition. I didn't have my brand new killer hearing aids, and when I went in for the audition, I said to the casting director, "Hey, I'm deaf, so if you wouldn't mind, if you have to give me direction, please talk loud." And the casting director, little pipsqueaky guy, goes, "Okay, thank you." And I go, "Okay, I'm ready to begin." He goes, No, we're done. Thank you for coming in." And I go, "What?" He goes, Thank you so much for coming in. We're done." He would not let me audition because I said you have to speak loudly, give me direction loudly. Now let me tell you something. Hollywood loves to say how woke they are. But this asshole is a casting director, and everyone knows. And I wish I knew his name because I'd out him right now. Now, I was so mortified, I walked out of the room. What I should have done is punched him right in the face. I should have punched him in the face because I would have been arrested. I would have told my story. And then fake Hollywood would have given me all kinds of roles. We like deaf people. We like deaf people. Just like every now and again they put someone ugly on TV. All right? Most people on TV are not ugly. And that's by design, which is also shocking that I have not been on television because this is the magic. Anyway, the point is, Hollywood loves to say how woke they are, but they're not woke, okay? The Bachelor is the most unwoke show ever. Let's put 15 beautiful people together and see if they can find one more beautiful person. So I don't get a lot of auditions. That's my point. Because Hollywood, for whatever reason, it's a connection, it's all kinds of things. But I don't necessarily want to work in Hollywood, but I'd love to act and do some role. I think it'd be very good. Here's me answering a question, or here's me asking a question in a very important scene. What? You said that I could do? Anyway, I had an audition, and my goats were due to have babies, which normally they just do the thing. You go out one day and there's babies. It's like goat Santa Claus comes one night and boom, there's 4 more babies. So I go to leave them all duded up, and believe it or not, I'm going to be early for my audition. I'm going to be early. This is before the rude jackass that said, "Thank you for coming in," when I said I was deaf. And by the way, if God help you, if that person manages to see this broadcast, call me. You know you did it. You know you did it. I should have popped you right in the jaw. I forgive you now because you're an ignorant person. All right, but I should have popped you right in the jaw. I don't get offended easy, but that's bullshit. So, not unlike the time I asked 9 girls to go to the prom, and they said, "No, we don't ask. We don't, no." Because I had not developed into this yet. So, I have an audition. I'm getting ready to leave. And as I'm getting in my car from the goat pen, I hear, maybe worse. It may be worse. I heard what can only be described as goat duress. I heard serious goat duress. Now listen, I'm going for an audition that can change my life. It can change my life. I could get this role and become one more notch in an already grueling career. So I hear it. I go, okay, she's having the baby. No big deal. But then I hear it again, and I know that they make noise when they have a baby, but this doesn't sound right. I'm hearing, I'm like, okay, that's a bad sound. And I decide to walk out to the goat pen. And what I see is the mother goat on the ground, laying in obvious pain on the ground. Now, that happens. They push, they stand, then they stand up and they drop it. They have their baby standing up. A lot of women do that now in water, so I've been told. That's a big goat, but they don't have water. So I'm watching this goat, and I'm looking, and what I see, I know is a problem. I see a baby goat that I think is breech. Yeah, that's right. This goes backward. All right. So what do I do? What do? I walk into the goat pen in my outfit that I'm auditioning in, my shoes are immediately goat dirty. And I look down, and sure enough, I can see this baby is backwards. So I call a friend of mine. I go, I don't have this situation. He goes, you got to reach up in there and get that baby out because you're going to lose the baby and the mother. And now I'm looking at the clock. I'm going, I don't have time to become Vinnie Brand, Dr. Quinn, medicine woman. I don't have time for that. Okay? Even if the role I'm auditioning for is a doctor, I'm not a real doctor. I don't have time to become a goat cesarean section man. But I couldn't leave that animal alone. I couldn't do it. She was crying and she was looking at me with those big goat eyes. And I know she's in pain. And at first I called Vicky. Now I'm trying to juggle my cell phone. I don't want to drop my cell phone in goat placenta. I don't want to drop my cell phone in goat residue. So I got the cell phone in my ear. I'm like, Vicky, you got to help me. Vicky's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, just call this vet, see if you get somebody. Vicky's trying to get a vet to come out. There's no goat vets that can come out. So I got to sit there and deliver this baby. Now I'm trying, and I'm looking, and at some point I know I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. So what do, I call up, and I get the guy on the line. I go, hey, this is Vinnie Brand. In the background I hear, I'm like, this is Vinnie Brand. He's Vinnie, what's going on? I go, listen, I am. This guy said to me, he goes, are you in the subway? I'm like, I don't know why. Why does the subway sound like a goat in duress? I have no idea. I go, no, I'm not on the subway. I go, I'm out of my barn, and there's a goat mother, and the baby's breech, and I got to deliver this goat. And the guy goes, your audition is in 1 hour. You got to be here. I go, listen, is there any way you can reschedule me? And he said, no. You got to come in right now. You got to come in right now. So I look at the clock. I look at the goat. I look at my career. And I said to him, you know what? Cancel me. He goes, what? I go, yeah, cancel me. I'm coming in. He goes, that's your choice. In the background. And I canceled an audition that could have changed my entire life. Could have changed everything. And I reached my hands up into a goat womb, and I pulled. It took me a lot of time. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was afraid. I'm like, what if I kill the baby? Meanwhile, I know the baby's going to die anyway if I don't get her out of there. I eventually get the goat out. The goat baby died instantly. Died in my little hands. Just like my career. My career and the baby goat died at the same time. And then I'm trying to get the mother to drink water, and she was bleeding bad, and then she died. I lost both goats and my career in 1 day. And why do I tell you this story? I'll tell you why. Because that's the kind of man I am. If you were giving birth and you were in duress and I had an audition, I would stop what I was doing, ruin all my clothes, I might add, get goat placenta on my boots, and deliver your baby. And your baby hopefully would make it. After the goats both died, I had to go bury them. It took about, the whole thing, start to finish, took me 4 hours. Adult goats heavy as hell. I had to go bury them in my backyard illegally. You're not allowed to bury goats. Do you know that, Paul?
Oh, yeah.
I broke the law that day, Paul. I buried a goat and her mother. I buried them side by side so that if there's some type of goat heaven, they're in it together. Now, I tell you all that because you need to know who you are listening to and who you're a quote-unquote fan of. And I'm sorry that the story made you cry, but you should be proud to know that Vinnie Brand will not walk by a goat in duress. And you're a friend of mine. Now listen, I hope you enjoyed our live stream tonight. I really do. I told a goat story, an audition story. I explained to you why my career stinks. I told you a story that I would dare say there's not one other comic in the history of stand-up comedy that can tell that story. And that's what makes my choices so bad. But It also, I guess I wouldn't change it. So listen, my show is in 2 weeks. Not this week, but the week after. And I hope you come, and I hope you spread the word. And I hope you spread this goat story. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Ron Ginsberg, Stephanie Kachina. If Steph had been there, she would have instantly turned that goat into a delicious meal. Mother's Day is coming up. You give her a shirt that says Vinnie was right. I don't know if that's a good idea. Denise, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Lee, thank you. Phil, Anthony Villa, Judy, I love you, Judy. I know you're coming to the shows too. I think I saw that, right? Todd Hartbent, Tom Nora. Who else is here tonight? Jan Derrick, I love you, Jan. I hope you didn't mind me telling that story. I hope your son does a good job on the job he did do for us. Brian, great to see you. And who else? Did we miss anybody? I don't know if we missed anybody, but if I did, I apologize. Harrison, I hope you enjoyed it. Bobby Bank, Mark Plowden. Who else did I miss? I think I got you all. You guys are so much fun to hang out with. Next Tuesday night, another live stream, 8 o'clock. Be here tonight. Go Blue! Oops, I did the hook 'em and go blue in one thing. Go Blue! That's when you know you're spending too much money to too many institutions. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Share the stream. As always, 908-601-6976. The YouTube channel has brand new videos. Darren Fleet interview video up there. Starting to really take off there. Check that out, YouTube. And like and share this page whenever you can. Love you all. Talk to you soon.